this is Animat, and welcome back to the Muppet Vlog. Now this time we're going to be looking into the third episode of The Muppet Show, which features Joel Grey. Now, for those of you who don't really know who Joel Grey is, let me tell you, this guy is a master thespian, both on screen and on stage. But it is especially with the Broadway crowd that he is mostly well known, considering that he has been featured in numerous of highly successful Broadway shows, including George M., Good Time Charlie, The Grand Tour, Chicago, Wicked, and a recent revival of Anything Goes. But his crown jewel performance, it has to be hands down the Master of Ceremonies from Cabaret, from which he actually won 3 separate awards, including a Tony Award for the original Broadway show. He won an Oscar and a Golden Globe for his performance in the film adaptation. So pretty much he was just one step away from pretty much being in the category of getting the EGOT, you know, like the Emmy, the Tony, the Oscar, and the fudge, what was the other one? Oh yeah, the Golden Globe. That's usually the forgettable one, which is normally the case. But anyways, going into the episode itself, it is actually very interesting that they brought in Joel Grey on this specific episode because it really is Broadway centered. Like, it does have a major Broadway theme, not just with Joel Grey, but there are a few musical numbers that are featured in there that are from, like, Broadway shows and, like, musicals and stuff like that. It actually starts off with Comedy Tonight from the musical A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum. There's also other segments, including a Wayne and Wanda bit where they've tried to perform stormy weather, but considering that it is Wayne and Wanda, the key word here being try. But yeah, like, it is a pretty interesting episode. The fact that, like, usually it is supposed to be variety, it's supposed to be vaudeville, but this time they decided to go in a more Broadway route, which is actually quite fascinating. And, well, of course, it is an integral piece of stage history. But I will say, for the episode itself, I'm not really that big of a fan of it. It's not really their strongest. And this mostly goes on, like, with what's going on behind the scenes and what's going on in between and all that stuff. Because when we go backstage, the biggest storyline that's going on is that Fozzie has this new bit that he really wants to try out, but he ends up annoying everybody. And that's when, like, pretty much he wants to test out his comedic skills where you say any word you can think on top of your head and Fozzie will try to make a bad joke about it. Well, pretty much the result of that ends up being the same as the jokes themselves. There are a few bits here and there that do get me a good laugh, but they end up mostly falling flat. And, you know, it doesn't feel like a strong backstory to go with the episode. It's just like, sure, it'll be fine for just one little bit, but for something to carry an episode, it's not really that great. Even for a plot line for Fozzie, it's just, it ends up being rather weak. There are other segments as well, like, they didn't end up going so great, like, the At the Dance sequence is not really that strong and all that stuff, so, like, mostly, like, what's happening, like, for the jokes themselves, they're all not that great. The only exception to this is actually the little sketch they have with Sherlock Holmes, where Rolf is, like, pretty much trying to be Sherlock and he's trying to solve a murder. That one is actually the best part of, like, the episode itself that doesn't have to do with Joel Grey. Now, mostly what it is like, it is Sherlock Holmes, like, they did have, like, the detective theme going on, but it's executed in a way that only the Muppets can do, and that's what makes the sketch itself pretty good, I gotta say. But other than that, like, the rest just feels kind of flat. By the way, there was one weird thing that this episode in particular did that I don't think I've seen in any of the other episodes, so, like, it was rather unusual seeing this happen, and it's that, in the intro, they actually left it longer than usual, and they actually showed little previews of what's going to be coming up. Now, I understand, like, why you would do this for, like, in your show to give you a little taste of what's going to be coming up, especially like with Joel Grey, and then suddenly they did another one for like a small bit of comedy tonight. But I don't know, for me, I felt like it was completely out of nowhere and kind of weird because I didn't see like this happen in any of the other Muppet intros or any that I could remember. So I understand that they wanted to experiment, but it's kind of weird that they wanted to experiment like somewhere in the third episode. And like, yeah, like it's fine. Like if you do that, it's fine. But for the Muppet Show, considering that they don't usually do that, or that they don't ever do that, it feels a little bit out of place. It's like, okay, so we're getting a bit of a preview. I didn't expect that to happen. Like, would it benefit the Muppet Show if they actually did that with the other bits? Well, I can see that work. Like, as I said before, like, it's fine if they did that. Like, it would make sense. But, like, just having a small clip with the actors, with the Muppets, like, that's fine as well. It's just, I don't know, I just feel like there was this random surprise that came out of nowhere. It's like, oh, okay, we just got previews of what's going to be coming up. Okay, but, even with that, of course, that pretty much means that the real highlight of this episode is hands down Joel Grey. And, his bits are actually like what saves this episode. That's the only reason why the episode is really worth watching, considering that he sings, of course, considering that he is the master of ceremonies, he has to sing Wilkommen, which is pretty much the most popular song from Cabaret. And by the way, for those of you who are curious about Cabaret, like, I'm sure some of you might have heard the song of Wilkommen, but if you don't know the show itself, well, let me tell you, it is freaking dark. It is dark and brutal. It's actually about Nazis, so don't be fooled by the lighthearted tone of Wilkommen. Yeah, and also, like, considering that that the Muppet Show is a family variety show, like, it is a very toned down, family-friendly version of Wilkommen. So, don't expect any, like, hidden sex jokes here and there. Like, they really played it safe for Wilkommen. But at least, they did, at least the main song is there. The main component of what makes Wilkommen work, it is still there. But there is also a second, act that, Joel Grey does in the episode. And he actually sings Razzle Dazzle after Gonzo did a failed performance, like, trying to do some kind of artsy thing. So he decided to cheer him up with Razzle Dazzle. And it's actually very funny to mention. Now, Joel Grey's performance in there is great. Like, the song is great. Joel Grey in there is fantastic. But it is funny and interesting to watch because, wow, did they use a lot of 70s special effects. Like, they try to pull out plenty of old tricks out of the hat during those days, especially with the camera, where they try to do, like, split cameras and, like, you see the same image, but they split into 3 or they split into 5, and, like, they would keep spinning, and then you see Joel Grey, like, just his face in a circle, and it's like, it's going close or it's going far and stuff like that. But yeah, I will say, like, it is a great bit in itself, but it is funny to see, like, the old 70s special effects and, like, what they're trying to do. Like, I feel like they, like, in this episode, and especially in that bit, they tried their best to do all these different special effects to, like, I guess, as the song says itself, like, they try to pull the old Razzle Dazzle, but wow, this is some really dated Razzle Dazzle. So I would say that overall, it is a decent episode, but it's only worth watching for the bits that include Joel Grey. So if you end up watching, like, the bits of Wilkommen or Razzle Dazzle, then you'll be satisfied with it. But watching the episode in itself, there are definitely better episodes out there, and this ends up, I wouldn't say a weak episode. This is not a bad episode. It's pretty good on its own, but it does pass off as something that's a bit, well, weak per se. It's one of their weaker episodes. But yeah, so, like, it's still but yeah, I would say it is still worth watching because of the musical numbers and stuff like that. And especially, like, if you're a Broadway fan, then definitely go check this one out. But anyways, that's pretty much it for this special Razzle Dazzle episode. I don't know if that would even work, but I don't know. Screw it, I'm still rolling with it. But anyway, okay, so that's pretty much it. And we'll see if things can really pick up on the next episode. So until next time, see you later, dudes!